I'm LeAnn, and I'm sitting today with Åsa Kullberg, who is someone we are so happy to have here at Ängsbacka, a dear sister of mine who holds many different courses here and has a long history with Ängsbacka. And Åsa, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm really happy to be sitting here with you because I know you a little bit. I've done a couple of your courses. I haven't had so much chance to just sit and get to know you before. And so we have a double opportunity here for me to get to know you and also for our listeners and our viewers to hear a little bit more about who you are. When I look at your life, you've done so many different things. You're a teacher in the sweet medicine Sundance tradition. You are a yoga teacher. You co-created the Frigörande Dance, Liberating Dance movement. You brought Dearmoring to Sweden, I guess 1998. Meditation, you were trained as a teacher. There's so much in your life. It's amazing. And I'm curious what you think from your early beginnings. When did your interest in spiritual development and human potential start? Like, how did you get put on this path that led you to sitting with me on this couch?
Wow.
That's a big question.
That's a big question. It is true that I have lived and live a very rich life. And have had many opportunities and learning opportunities and journeys in the soul realm as well as in the world on this beautiful planet. And how it started, well, I started meditation when I was 18. And I got really into it. So when I was young, I meditated a lot. And so the enlightenment drive, the passion for freedom, for liberation was extremely strong when I was young.
And that was an unusual thing to do back then. How did you find it?
Yeah, not the common stream. I was interested in the yogic lifestyle already earlier. I had those interests since I was a child, actually. And how did that happen that I came to the transcendental meditation?
Yeah, and who was there a person in your life who told you about yogic things, or did you read about it?
No, I don't know. I read autobiography of a yogi very early, and that book has made a huge impact on me. I was since then basically I was longing to sit in a cave in the mountains or go to the temple and so on, very, very strongly. So this has been like the guiding light or the driving force, the inspiration and the motivation for me throughout most of the years in my life. And it took me to India and to Osho and to the Sannyas world, and also to Herakandi Babaji ashram, which is an avatar, a Mahavatar in India. And so quite some years it was mostly meditation, and then it came more into the body with Osho. And then I studied also goddess culture, and had for quite many years, together with a friend, Marie Milling, a course or training for women that was about looking into the feminine way, spiritual way. And so we worked with the goddess, with womb connection, with sexual energy. After the transcendence years, with so much meditation, it kind of turned into this flesh and blood and earth.
Bring this down into our bodies.
Yeah, not only transcending into the sky, so to say, but to really embody spirit and experience life and freeing the lower chakras. And so that became almost like a mission. For many years we worked with this, and we were somewhat pioneers in Sweden because it was not so common at that time. And we also created a leadership training for women. And so those years also brought me into the Kodoshka medicine and the sweet medicine. And I read the Castaneda books, which I guess in our generation many people have.
Yeah, I read
and
them
it was
too.
like, wow. And I was like, oh, I want a teacher like that. I prayed to the grandmothers for a teacher like that. And then the sweet medicine came my way. And it's not the same lineage, but it is the same tradition. And so I started the sweet medicine tradition, the Sundance tradition, trainings and workshops, and did a lot of medicine and ceremony. And so that became my main path, and that's like more than 30 years ago. So I'm still an apprentice on this path. I'm a teacher on that path since many, many years now. And parallel to that, I also have my other streams alive. So I have the Taoist stream with the inner alchemy and Qigong, which is a love affair for me. I am in love with the Tao. And I have my tantric stream with my teacher Danielle Lodi, that has been my teacher since many years. And so I am practicing the Kashmirian Shaivism. And and the yoga oneness in India. I've also been for a concentrated time, quite intensely engaged. So there's always been other streams, which is more to the Eastern way and Eastern traditions that I have explored and studied and practiced in throughout these years. So basically, I think that's it.
It's incredible. What I really appreciate about what I see is when you decide to do something, you go deeply into it. And it's beautiful to see you with Daniel Audier's work and the Tantra, and then also North America. So it's like worldwide, you've got the Chinese with the Qigong and the Taoist. So many different traditions. It's so rich.
It's very rich. And here, my friends, started Ängsbacka. And so I have been to Ängsbacka and at No Mind Festival basically from the beginning.
What, 27 years ago, I guess, in 1996?
Something like that,
Yeah, wow.
So Ängsbacka has been, both for me also a home, and I have had the privilege of following the evolution here and the building of this field and the ceremonies we have done here and all the festivals, and the field that is here now, the heart space that is here, the presence of spirit and friendship and dedication and love, basically.
Yeah.
The presence is such a gift. It's such a blessing. So, yeah, it is a gift to be here and do the work.
Yeah. As a relative newcomer, I've only been here for about 3 years, but I can say a huge thank you to you for helping create and hold this field.
Yeah.
Because it really is unique.
Yes.
And I'm
it
happy.
It is very unique.
Happy to call it my home.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've been through the Shamanic Sexual Healing workshop together and the Golden Womb together.
Yeah.
And I haven't done the dearmoring. So perhaps you can tell me and our listeners a little bit about that process, because it's a very intensive, life-changing experience.
Yes, it is. It's really a profound soul journey, deep healing, and also liberation. There is so much to say about it. Let's see what comes. You know, at this time on this planet, we live in a very intense time, and this is clear for everybody by now. Yet we have, or my teacher, who passed away 10 years ago, but he was talking about since all these years back about the shifts that would happen on the planet, and we were preparing and trained for 2012,
Right.
where the gates to the human world opened, and he spoke about the years to come after 2012 up to 24, which is the year that we are in now. Would be a very important time for healing and transformation and purification, where everybody would meet what is hidden basically in the shadow, and also have the opportunity to grow and evolve and make the shift into the human world. And that the vibration and frequency of the planet is rising, and so it does within us. And so it awakens the soul, it awakens us from within, it awakens and bring about an activation of our life force energy within the soul, which means that, you know, from we are small, the soul is very alive, open, and impressible. It easy get imprinted.
Yes.
With different kind of experiences, and doesn't have much of a defense, if we call it like that. And a baby breathes with her whole or his whole body, and is open in the senses. And so it is like our soul being is alive, and it's part of our psychological development to or evolution to develop an ego structure that helps us function in the world. And that also comes with a certain patterning or conditioning. And so more and more we come to identify ourselves with this structure. And sometimes once in a while we are open also within the soul, and we have a much deeper and richer life experience or experience of life in that moment. And so it's almost like waking up inside of a dream, and remembering who we are in that moment. And so we come to long more for those moments. And that means that when life is awakened, then also it starts to show us those places where we can dissolve that ego structure, or meet those places where the ego structure is defending us from pain, from hurt, from trauma, from different kind of imprints or impacts that have caused the system to contract. And we don't see this structure as something negative, because we see it from a shamanic perspective as something that is chosen already before we come in to the womb of our mother. We call it in the great round. We choose this particular structure that we work with as the body character structure. And so when the child develops, it goes through certain stages that could also, we could also associate these stages with the elements. So like the first stage, which is within the womb and just at birth, we could look at as the earth element stage, which is a oneness, a state of oneness. And therefore also a bonding with life, within life, with the mother, with nature.
Coming into the physical.
Exactly. Coming into the physical, to this earth plane. And in this earth plane, everything is interconnected except human beings. Everything is interconnected already, except human beings. In the human world, we have to navigate and choose that interconnection through healing ourselves. And that's an application or alignment with the free will of the greater design or of great spirit. And so, why did I say this now?
Well, we're connected, but we don't know it.
Yeah. So, so we need to find that connection back. And we find that connection back through the elements and through the worlds of Grandmother Earth, through nature, you could say. And this is part of the shamanic healing work, that is part of the Dearmoring and all our work. And so that is healing and bonding with the young part of us, or the inner child, that when not whole, is coming through us as adults as what we need from the outer world, and we try to get it and find that connection in the human world, but it actually doesn't work. We have to find that connection within nature and spirit in nature and the elements and the worlds of Grandmother Earth, and then we can connect and engage in the human world in a way that truly supports ourselves and each other to regulate, you could say, and be aware of how can we be part of the solution in a given situation. How can we sense and feel what is happening inside of us in a way that we can be receptive to that information, because that information is given in every moment. How to connect in a way that contributes to the greatest potential in any meeting or situation to be released or liberated or awakened, expressed. And that often involves hidden parts, energy, life, consciousness within us that is longing for liberation, longing for freedom, longing to come back home, so to say, or to come into completion, because that's how life is designed. Any energy is gonna come to completion sooner or later. And if we are aware of the process and can welcome our experience in the moment, it will come to completion and freedom. Because that's how it is designed. We don't actually need to do much.
Right.
We need to be open and available and willing to feel and sense and experience what is actually happening right here and now. And what is happening right here and now is always the gateway to wholeness and to what is the true solution or capacity or resource or possibility, potential in the moment. So that is a healing in the elements. Let's say the earth element is disrupted very early.
And then
there is
armor.
The structure forms in a certain way then. With the earth element, for example, that means that we become fragmented. We experience that particular body structure is not fully incarnated or embodied. It's a human being with that structure doesn't feel him or herself fully in the body, and also have this theme their whole life with bonding and connection. And so the dearmoring for that body structure is a healing in the earth element, related also to the root chakra. So therefore, already in the beginning of the dearmoring process, because we work with the legs and feet and pelvis first, and then we move up through the body. So for that very early body character structure, the healing happens already in the beginning of the dearmoring in one way, because when the plate opens in the pelvis and the root chakra, you could say opens, this human being then feels like they have legs and feet for the first time.
Right.
And it's a wow experience. And so then the process continues with the recommitment, making a new contract within one's soul about being here on earth. So that's a coming home. And then it continues with different themes for the different body character structures. There are 5 body character structures.
With the elements.
And so the healing within the core wounding of the soul, and coupled with or together with the process that liberates and awakens the life force energy within the soul, which is our sexual life force energy, which is the 5th element, you could say. When the 5th element is plugged in and our life force energy is awakened within the soul, then we have access to a whole new dimension in life. And so then the sexual energy becomes a catalyst for the soul's evolution. And that is very different from using the sexual energy as a charge and discharge of tension, or where, or in a way where not our heart and mind is open, we are present in the body, where all the 5 elements are present, so to say. Yeah?
Whereas it can be a distraction or a if you're not, it's not
then,
used the right way.
It is then a way that makes us maybe lose energy on it.
Exactly.
This to awaken the potential of the sexual life force energy releases this energy to become a generator of energy, so that we also are catalyzed within the soul to awaken our spirit or true nature, which is where we are flooded with light and love and bliss and healing and all these goodies. So that's a byproduct of the dearmoring, that it opens the pathway, you could say, through the chakras and opens the armor, the structure, in a way where the life force energy can flow more freely, and we can have access to ourselves inside of more dimensions.
It's like priming the pump. Once you get the pump primed, then it just keeps, then it's ready and it's
then
going.
it keeps flowing, and if it has an open pathway, it can flow with the body character structure. Since it is a structure, it constricts that very plasmatic, open, free-flowing space, and it's good because it supports us. But then now it doesn't support us anymore unless consciously chosen, or unless we follow what is happening within it, and it will take us also into the source. So it's not something we fight against.
Right.
We don't fight against ego structure, we don't fight against mind. We include everything. We welcome all aspects of ourselves and all experiences, because all experiences are gateways to more healing, to more opening, to deeper magic and mystery inside of the soul. So it's a process, and this is inner alchemy, right? Once we come to experience the magic of inner alchemy, then it also becomes a love affair, because it also deepens our trust. We see that can fully trust the process in life. And back to dearmoring, that's a process we can fully trust. And so the dearmoring frees or liberates life force energy within the soul. It moves us into those places that are longing for freedom. And it makes us see and feel and remember the intent behind certain situations, because from the perspective of the soul it looks very different.
Right.
And so it brings healing to those places, and it makes us grow up and mature as human beings. It's like we become new parents to our inner child. We become lovers with our inner opposite gender. We become awakened and empowered inside of our archetypal presence. We can connect with spirit and the divine inside of us. we can release our innocence and playfulness. Because it's not very complicated, and certainly it's not very serious, you know, to flow with life, to experience what is with curiosity and welcoming, and also with pleasure. Sweet Medicine Sundance path is a path for those seeking enlightenment and through pleasure and knowledge. This is called like this since old ways or old times. So pleasure is an ingredient in the Dearmoring to experience how can we heal through pleasure. And this is not only sexual pleasure. This is not the pleasure that is opposite to pain, where we avoid pain and seek pleasure. Right. This is, in the medicine realm, we speak about pleasure as the pleasure of spirit within the human realm. So it's the pleasure of feeling everything.
Being in the body.
Being in the body, in the physical realm, to have access to the senses, to gain information and knowledge through the senses, to explore and experience life fully. So this is what is meant with pleasure, healing through pleasure. And it is also an initiation. The whole Dearmoring is an initiation, like a rite of passage, actually, into the maturation inside of the human soul, where we can step out of the imprisonment, where sometimes we are locked in inside of our structure. And so the Dearmoring releases that structure, which is fueled by how our life force energy moves in a certain patterned way.
Reinforces itself.
Yes.
Until
the energy breaks out of that
broken.
pattern. And we use the sexual life force energy to break out of that pattern. And it's a very simple, not always easy, but yet simple formula. That has its base in that the sexual life force energy is healing. This is its gift and design. So it releases and discharges whatever is ready to be discharged that hasn't been discharged properly inside of our experience in the past. So it kind of discharges and dissolves those holdings or disruptions or traumatic holdings. When sexual energy is charging and discharging the organism, whatever is ready to flow with it, if that is a way to explain it,
or relax into it.
Then it brings healing. So the Dearmoring releases the imprint, the patterning inside of the blueprint of the physical body. We call it the 8th chakra, the blueprint, which is a blueprint for how our life force energy moves. So it's a, you could say it's our life pattern.
Yeah. Would you even say that this release is almost what we would think of as forgiveness?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is related to forgiveness. Sometimes it brings naturally forgiveness because it brings a reconciliation, a coming together, a oneness with something that we had separated from, or that brought about a division and separation within us. So when it opens and we welcome that energy, and especially when we see from the soul's perspective, I call it, what is the healing or learning here? Then sometimes it is related to seeing somebody else's perspective, or what is my true learning here, or where do I need to go within myself in order to let this go, or see a deeper meaning or a bigger picture of the situation, and how I did choose this. Because from a shamanic perspective, we have chosen our karmic lessons already before coming here. It's a very empowering perspective.
Yes.
And I know sometimes it gives, it opens, and it does open for discussion, of course, if we look at global perspectives and all of this. And still we are inviting for this perspective to be explored. And of course, there are many difficult issues, traumas and abuse that are also part of a dearmoring process, especially in the lower region and plates. We're talking about opening plates of actual armor. And so it can be deeply emotionally discharging and healing and opening, because uncried tears or parts inside of us that we haven't really bonded with or listened to, or a part inside of us that are carrying a burden or a secret since many, many years and are released of this contract can bring about a healing in the moment that of course impacts all aspects in our life. And so because the dearmoring releases this imprint or patterning, our life pattern, from the physical body, then we now have access to a more spacious awareness of ourselves, and we also have access to a more conscious choice in the moment of how to interact or how to engage with an experience we have, which before, especially inside triggering situations and more difficult situations, our autopilot, so to say, comes on, and the automatic defense mechanisms of our structure came on, which usually prevents us from being as intimate as we truly wish, as honest as we truly wish, and so on. All of us can relate to that.
And then we get the same outcome because we've
say,
spotted the same way.
Exactly.
Creating the same thing.
And so that's like a karmic pattern, karmic repetition. So in this way you can say that the dearmoring process releases karmic pattern from the physical. Now we still need to choose. Then how do I interact? Then how do I choose to respond? Then how do I choose to meet my experience in the moment? But now we actually have the awareness to make that choice consciously. And that's a very big difference. It's a revolution, actually, to be able to choose a behavior or to make a conscious choice, where before we got activated and got into reaction and we kind of lost connection, right?
Yeah.
So after the armoring, most people report that there is this space of parallel perception, you could say, both of the old world and the new world, or the old pattern and the new possibility. And so it's like walking on an edge, and there we talk about being a creator or a determiner of energy. To choose from my true priority, my spiritual determination, and to choose to stay connected, to choose from my spirit, from my fire element, rather than being a receiver of energy from the mental or inner dialogue. And so that's a 180 degrees shift of paradigm and perception and choreography, or use of energy and decision-making process.
From victim to sovereign being.
We could also say growing up, maturing as human beings, and therefore being able to be part of the solution in the world, on the planet right now. And so it is really a rite of passage for growing up, for reparenting the child, for accepting fully the feminine and masculine, who we are as an adult man or woman, as a human being, and being able to be intimate with reality, with what our experience, with life, with each other, and be able to love each other and care for each other and meet each other in all aspects. And regarding the sexual, sensual being that we are, then we have access to a richness that is very often beyond our imagination before the dearmoring. It's such a potential, it's such a resource that gets released. Then it is up to us how we continue to dance with that, how we use it. But it is a journey, a process. The dearmoring is a process that also brings about the possibility to come to a reset of the nervous system. Because the stress that
everybody's walking around it.
Where we are in structure, and the structure tries to manage the world, basically, and make it happen in the world, is very, very stressful for our being. It's almost abusive to our being, to our sensitivity. So to have access to a smoother way of operating, and to be able to stay relaxed in our being, and from there flow in action in the world, that is a tremendous maturation. And if we can do that in the human world at this time, then I think it is really part of the solution on what is happening.
Yay. So we're almost finished with our time. And I have one question that is from someone who didn't know who was going to be here, sitting here. So the tradition of I'm going to have you also write down a question for our next guest without knowing who it is in this podcast. So this question is, if you could meet one person from any time in history, who would you meet and why?
Wow, that's a fantastic question. One person from any time.
Or it could be someone you see again.
Yeah, the very first one that came to me without thinking was Jesus.
Uh-huh.
When I was a little girl, I was very interested in Jesus, and I read a lot about him, and I went to the Sunday school and learned about his life. And then I had a period where I became like an anti-church and Christianity woman kind of thing, or human. But Jesus came when you asked that question. And so why I would love to be blessed with Christ consciousness in my heart.
I think you are.
I have had that experience several times, and because we say that energy comes from Jesus Christ, right? It would be fantastic to meet a person that had the evolution that he had, that had so much power and love and wisdom. So interestingly enough, then we conclude this podcast with Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's right. Or perhaps with one more message, if you have anything else you'd like to tell our listeners. Or Jesus.
Yeah. No, I find that in a way appropriate, because after all this is said, it boils down to, at least for me, to be faithful to the beloved, which is in my heart, and to choose that is really a very humbling process that requires daily remembrance and true willingness to be in trust and choose truth. And realize that we are the way, the light, and the truth. So I just want to end then with speaking like that for the heart.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all of you for listening and watching.